Hello, I hope I'm audible to everyone. So we'll begin the session now in a while. Okay, so first, very good afternoon to everyone, one and all. I am Pranab Burman, Product Manager and Training Manager at Image 3D Conversion. On behalf of the entire team, I'd like to extend a warm welcome and sincere thanks to each of you for joining us for this exclusive refreshment program, specially designed for our past workshop participants. We are excited to have you here for this focused 3 hour session designed to reinforce the core concepts of AI driven implantology with immediate denture. This is your space to revise, reconnect, and refine with updated insights, case validations, and live interaction. So let's make the most of this time together. Now, without any further delay, let's welcome the expert leading today's session, Mr. Sudeep Paul. Sir, over to you.
Hello everyone, are you all there? I think we allowed everyone to do unmute, right? Pranab,
I request everyone to please unmute and to actively participate in the session.
Dr. Satish is there, Dr. Priya, Kajal, Ayushi, Janvi, Dr. Aditya.
Yes, sir, we are here. All good.
Lovely.
Yes, sir, we are here.
Oh, no, keep it there. Dr. Nikita is there, Dr. Partha, Dr. Dipakshi, Dr. Bhavin. Hello, sir. Dr. Santosh. How are you, Dr. Santosh? Dr. Hemleta is there. We are almost about to start in some time. Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Dr. Nagajoti. Hey, ma'am. Hello. We're just waiting for a few more participants, then we will start. Hello, sir. Dr. Babin.
Hello, Mr. Paul.
Hi. So finally, we are there in refresher program. I was struggling to come online to conduct this session. Dr. Santosh, hi, sir. Hello, everyone. So finally, we are here. We'll take 3 hours. Make sure don't sleep in between because this is the online program. No, I will not be there in front of you to encourage you to avoid dizziness, right? And don't live in between because I know why I don't like to conduct online program. This is quite I feel no not engaging, very engaging program for the when it comes to the software engagement thing, right? So I'll try my best to show you, take you through all the workflows, software UI and all. So 3 hours you need to just need to bear me for next 3 hours. We are almost there. Two more participants are required to. We are waiting for two more participants to attend. Then we'll start. Mute. Hello everyone. I'm just about to start the session now. Okay. Just in case if you miss anything from there, you can ask me in between. You can stop me in between, and I'm there to help you all with all kind of understanding. I believe my voice is very clear and audible to everyone. 2 or 3% can say yes, then I am ready to share all the informations. Am I
Yes,
audible to everyone?
Yes, sir,
yes,
you're
yes.
audible.
Lovely. Okay, I feel you have completed my 2 day sessions with me, and I'm going to take you through all the no informations step by step, whatever the possible things are there within to share within 3 hours. Okay, I'm going to focus on full arch planning. I believe you will be able to connect with me to understand the treatment planning situations for the single implant also, surgical guide design also, and same there I'll be covering the UI of the software and little bit of how to start the journey about guided surgery so that you can just refresh yourself with all the information that I shared in my course. Okay, now if you see one documents, I it's there in front of me, right, that I always share, that there are 3 stages to start the no to start the guided surgery planning. It's right from the single implant to surgical guide design. As we say, first data loading, right, then implant planning, then third stage is surgical guide design. Same documents I'll be sharing with you all after this session. Okay, now when it comes to the data loading, what we do in the data loading, first we load the data of the patients, right, DICOM data, then we load STL file, or no STL file, or the denture if we have CBCT scan of the denture. So always we know that there are 2 scans are required, as guided surgery is the concept of dual scan protocol, right? So that's why we need hard bone and the no soft tissue informations all the time, and CBCT doesn't cover the both the scan at a time. So we need to retrieve the scan one after one. First patient CBCT, then additional CBCT. Same there. We term it as a project owner or the guest owner. Okay, project owner is the patient scan that your patient, right? First, you need to send the patient for your CBCT scan, and the guest, we say, guest are the additional scan that might be your intraoral scan, that might be your additional data through the CBCT scan. That means cast, impressions, or the denture. Okay. Same there. Once we load DICOM data, once we load intraoral scan or the denture, right? There are some ways are there in the software to load the data. STL file, if it is, we just need to drag and drop the file. And if you have the additional DICOM folder, you are not going to do the drag and drop. There are some ways are there in the software. Going to the software file, import DICOM, you are accepting the additional data. Then you load the nerve. Okay, if it is the mandible maxillary case, you need to draw the nerve manually. I'm just trying to take you through this document. Okay, and same there, I'll show you in the software. Okay, same, once you load the nerve, then set your screen in the tangential window. We say there are 5 windows will be there: pan view, cross section, tangential, that is 360-degree CBCT scan, and the 3D window. Why we use the tangential 3 window? Same we call date site validation. So much disturbances. Okay, I feel I'm still clearly audible to everyone. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's audible.
Okay, thank you. So we go through the 5 screen for the site validations, bone validation, proximity check, and the emergence profile. Okay, then there is one program we call bone segmentations, right? It is not mandatory every time to create bone segmentation data, but for the simulation purposes, you can say, or you can say for the no, to create the context surface, we can quickly within 1 or 2 minutes we can create a segmented bone model, right? I'll come into this topic again, why we need bone segmentations. So these are the data we collect through the in the first stage, and we need to be there. As you know, there are three screens will be there all the time. Two screens will be there all the time. One is model master and one is advanced panel in the software. In the model master, what we do, we accept and we execute everything for the data loading. And same there for the when it comes to the implant planning and the surgical guide design, we stay there in the advanced model. Okay. Now implant planning. In implant planning, what you do, you load the implant in the software program. There will be the implant wizards will be there. Then you either way you are planning the single implant case or the full arch case. So this concept needs to be clear with you when you are going to full arch, when you are planning the full arch planning, how to do the implant planning for the full arch. Sometimes you are placing 4 6 implant, 8 implant, 7 implant, or sometimes you are following the protocols for the all on 4 all on 6. At the time of implant planning, always you do the add abutment, right? Without adding the abutment, we don't do the implant planning. To appreciate the treatment plan, we need to always appreciate the emergence profile of the abutment. Considering the abutment access only, we execute the treatment planning, right? Then you do the site validations. Same there, the process should be through the site validations, bone validations, proximity check, bone density check, okay, emergence profile. Okay, once implant planning is done, what you do, you set the drill kit, you set the guide hole diameter, and you set the offset, where all this thing needs to be done in the implant panel. Okay, now once it is done, now you have done the data loading, you have done the implant planning. Final stage is that you just need to understand how to design surgical guide using software. There is simple way is that guide panel is there, right? In the guide panel you will be doing the draw curve. Okay, this is the information I'm going to take you through the entire planning process. Okay, now coming to the software, just I'll take you through. There are some advanced concepts are there, right? When you go to the implant planning and all. So I'll take 15 minutes for this information. Okay, all in one. That is we call one of the most trending protocol and approach right now happening in our implant industry for full mouth rehabilitation, that we go for the immediate loading process, right? While we go for the immediate loading process, in generally sometime we need to go with the chair side management for the temporary prosthesis delivery, right? Everything you do, adjust everything following the chair side management, or no conventional process you follow. Additional method is that there is a digital guided process is also there. In the guided process you follow with the in the guided process also you can follow with the immediate loading concept. In the immediate loading concept, there are two concepts will be there. One is the resin concept, one is the metal concept. So I'm not going to take that much of time. I'll quickly take you through. I'll go a little bit fast, okay, so that I should not waste the time. And I'll come directly to the software planning, okay, so that I know it can brush you up and you can update you for the advanced informations, okay. Now you see what's happening there in the full mouth rehabilitations. What you do, or what you need to learn. One is the smile design, okay. Once you learn the smile design, that means you are doing the first you do the smile assessment using the patient's photo. Nowadays 3D smile designs concepts are also there. So many softwares are there in the market, right? And for the full mouth reconstruction cases, using the photo, you first approach the patients first, right? You do the 2D smile design, you convince the patient. Once patient is convinced, right? Then you come to the real time planning. When you do the real time planning, you do the 3D smile design. When you do the 3D smile design, what we say, one is that without doing the resemblance of the no following the resemblance of the patient's photos, right? We do the direct wax up with the occlusions and all. We just load the teeth setup and all, right? Or else if you have the patient's photos, you do everything using the face scanners. Concepts are there. Using the face scanner, you do the wax up with the informations of the patient facial structure, right? So first smile design. Once smile design is done, following the smile design, you do the wax up, right? And as per the wax up, you do the treatment plan. That means implant placement. Once implant placement is done, sometime to load the implant, you go with the bone leveling, bone flattening concept, or bone reduction concept. Okay. So this entire stage, how we do in the real time surgery. First, we need to do with the immediate. We need to think about the fixation pin secure. I believe, as per my previous participants, all of you, right, you know what is fixation pin, right? So sometimes we do some mistakes in the fixation pin stabilizations also, and for that your guided surgery fails. Okay, so in generally in our industry, what we say, we just need one guide for the surgical guide, right? And for the implant placement. So in generally, what we need to do, I mean, if the patient is edentulous, if patient doesn't have reference landmark to establish the no surgical guide in the patient mouth, right? First, you locate the indexing pin locations, right? And separately, we plan the surgical guide for the fixation pin. So one fixation pin guide will be there. Once fixation pin guide is done, then you go with the bone reductions guide. That means first you do the fixation pin, then you do the immediate extraction, you raise the flap, and then you stabilize one guide to do the bone flattening. Okay, then implant placement, then you load the prosthesis. An entire sequence we have the guided concept. If you see this video for the fixation pin establishment, one guide will be sitting in the patient teeth first, then go with the initial drilling and perforate the fixation pin locations. Then you take off any guide reference. You'll have the reference of the bone reductions only. You perform the bone reductions, you flatten the bone, right? And then once bone reduction is done, one guide will be sitting on the foundation guide we call, or the reductions guide. On this reductions guide, your implant placement guide will be sitting, right? And you run the osteotomy. Once osteotomy is done, there are multi-unit abutment all, you will stabilize, temporary cylinders you will stabilize. Then with this temporary prosthesis, you will pick up the temporary cylinders. How this guiding concept will help you to achieve the soft tissue height, to achieve the abutment, right? And to do the pickup of the temporary cylinder. Okay. So all these sequences, if you see, teeth supported guide, first pin guide. Okay, in the pin guide, how it helps, it's a tooth supported guide only. You just locate the fixation pin locations. Once fixation pin location is defined, you remove this guide. Then based on the fixation pin locations, you stabilize one guide. That is called reduction guide. You can say foundation guide. This guide going to help you stabilize additional sequence of the guide. That means might be your implant placement guide, might be your abutment rotation guide. What is abutment rotations? That means you need to do the set the timing of the abutments, right? As per the treatment plan you have done, right? So same there, like the implant placement guide, there will be abutment guide. Then after abutment guide, there will be the temporary prosthesis. If you see bone reductions has been done here, And after bone reductions, fixation pin placement guide will be there. Okay, stabilizations. You just need to just Lego, just like the Lego, you need to stack this guide. You run the drilling sequence, then you deliver the implants. Okay, now in between the concept for the final prosthesis, you need to record the soft tissues, you need to record the MUA access, right? Now face scanner concept is also there in between. Not face scanner, special scan bodies, and the photogrammetry concept is there. Okay, so if you have the photogrammetry, if you have the spatial scan bodies, right, that works with the intraoral scan, a special intraoral scan that has the spatial scan bodies library compatible with, okay, you can follow this step in between before picking up the uh, temporary pickup, right, with the temporary prosthesis. Okay, now, once it is done, your temporary prosthesis will be sitting on the bone reductions guide to do the pickup. Okay. So this is the sequential concept. It is there. I'm not going to explain with the in-deep information. You just need to carry the information. This is something there as a sequential guide. Okay. Same that 3D simulations, bone reductions guide, first fixation pin guide. This can be flap or flapless. Both can be planned. Okay, in the initial phase, right? It is the magnetic concept, and the regular stacking concept will be there. Then you run the bone reduction. Once bone reduction is done, then you go with the, again, another guide will stack on the foundation guide to run the implant placement. Then in between, one more guide will be there, is the abutment guide. Okay, or else if the abutments are parallel, you can directly deliver the temporary prosthesis and do the pickup. Okay, so same there. It was, one is the resin concept. Okay, in the resin concept also you can see the fixation pin place. First pin guide will be there. Then another guide will be the metal guide. Okay, in the metal guide, just rather than designing the surgical guide in the resin, you can design the surgical guide in the metal, cobalt chrome, right? So you see, these are bone reductions. Once bone reduction is done, an additional implant placement guide will be there. It can be in metal or it can be in resin. Okay. So this is the sequence of the guide: pin guide, bone reductions guide for bone flattening, post immediate extractions. If you see knifey edges of the bones, you can flatten the bones, right? So that you can achieve the good prosthesis. You can establish the good prosthesis there. Okay. Same abutment guide will be there, or additional things in the metal guide. What we do, we reinforce one metal frame in the temporary prosthesis for the, when we are carrying the intentions to deliver the temporary prosthesis, strong temporary prosthesis for the long durations. Okay, so sometimes the temporary can be fabricated in the permanent crown. Okay, or milled for the longer durations uses. Okay, and it's not for the all the patients, all kind of patients. We use this kind of concepts only when we realize that bone density is very high. Okay, primary stability will be there. Okay, then only we are going to reinforce the metal frame in the temporary prosthesis. Okay, this is what the concepts are involved for the metal guide. See, always in the guided surgery, be it single implant, be it full arch cases, you need to print the 3D printed model, and you need to verify the surgical guide beforehand the surgery. We should not try the guided surgery in the patient mouth directly. Okay, so I'm not going to take you through this much information. Okay, slide, same 3D printings, all these informations are involved. I'm not going to take you all much information quickly. For your safety, you need to understand, sometime if your guided surgery goes wrong, implant planning go wrong, or the CBCD superimposition goes wrong, right, then you experience the vital structure damages. Okay, same there. If your guide hole diameter, if your offset is wrong, right, you experience your drill is not sitting properly. Sometimes you experience a poor 3D printer, right, like a chair, I mean those hobby printers are there. If you're using those hobby printer, and if you're not experienced enough with the guide hole diameter and all. This kind of struggle you may experience. Okay. Sometime due to your metal cylinder insertions or offset management, your guide will not be sitting properly in the patient mouth, right? Same there, we need to inspect the same thing in the 3D printed model. Sometimes you experience the poor occlusions due to the wrong workflow or wrong executions in the real-time surgery. So these are the no negative impact of the guided surgery when you follow the wrong protocol, wrong workflow, or after following everything, you wrongly execute the surgery in the real time in the patient mouth. First thing, poor osteotomy, damaging of the vital structure, poor sitting of the guide, drill adaptation sometimes, or design of the guide in such a big guide, so you are ending up with the extreme flap, or your workflow is wrong, right? You end up with the poor occlusions, right? So these are the things you already know, that you are trying softwares, you are already involved with the softwares, you know this terminology, right? Guido lamita or the workflow, what I'm saying, right? All these informations you experience sometime negatively. So as I say, first thing is that I experienced after joining my course also, right? We are doing guided surgery cases with some practices, and still they are forgetting this information, that scanning protocol, you should not jump out with the software implant planning softwares, guide designs, implant planning and all. We need to first stage to pay attention is that to focus on scanning protocol. There are regular scanning protocol, denture scanning protocol, and the impression scanning protocol. Okay, when you go with the regular scanning protocol, that means patient has the teeth, that means you can do with the intraoral scan and you can send the patient for the cbct. If you feel that patient doesn't have much teeth, okay, in one side, both the side, okay, partial cases, you go with the impressions or the rpd you prepare, right? And placing the markers in the rpd, you do the cbct scan, whatever it is. Okay, you make sure you try to understand, connect with us anytime, right, after the sessions or anytime when you feel free. Make sure you should not feel struggle in understanding in the scanning protocol. Always there are three scanning protocol: basic scanning protocol, impression scanning protocol, and the denture scanning protocol. Again, you follow with the denture scanning protocol. After doing the cbct scan of the denture, you see the denture and the soft tissue has a gap, and that file also we should not uh, execute for the guided surgery planning. Of course, we always share this information in our group also. When I face the experience, I experience in my own cases, right, for the superimposition and all, and already it has clear understanding, I believe, with you all, that this kind of struggles, if you experience, your guided surgery goes wrong. Okay, same there for when you consider about the full arch restorations, right? Or to welcome the concept about stackable guide, sequential concept. These are the data you need to have the good understanding. Photography, extraoral photos, when you need the cbct scan for the both the additional data or the patient scan, when you need the intraoral scan, when you can welcome the extraoral scan, what 3D printers will be the good 3D printers for your practice, right? When we for the regular kind of cases, hobby printers are always can be appreciated, right? Or if you know how to play with the hobby printer, then of course you can execute everything confidently. Okay. So again, drill kit and the regular drill kit. If any of us here still struggling to understand the guided kit, make sure so far you now you have the good knowledge about the regular drill kit and the guided kit. Okay, guided, you have the guiding section, and the regular kit you don't have the guiding sections. Now you are in the group of the guided group, right? That is why I believe you don't need to appreciate the regular drill kit. A regular drill kit only can be used if you are planning for the pilot drilling, anterior regions, okay, or any site when you are no planning for the, let's say, bone densifications needs to be done, right? Densa bar you are going to use, right? You do not need to go with the guided kit. You can just simply prepare your surgical guide for the pilot drill. Okay, Now, if you have the pilot drill, now if you are thinking that I'll need to go for the up to final osteotomy, make sure don't plan for the up to final osteotomy. Anywhere in any sequences, you are going to have the poor experiences. Okay. So when you plan for the guided, make sure you have the opportunity to get the access of the guided kit. Nowadays, we have so many guided companies are there, Dentium, Norris, Ostems, and all these things we already discussed in the group. So I'm not going to stress on this word, on these words. Same there. In the treatment planning that I'm going to start now, goal is that emergence profile of the apartment. That means where the apartment should be accessing through. Considering this factor, we are going to do the digital planning. What first we validate if our implant is in exact site, then if the implant is in exact bone. That means site validations and bone validations. You know already this screen, this is the sagittal screen, that means cross sections window, okay, where you get the informations about buccal and lingual informations. Proximity check, always while we do the treatment plan, we do the proximity check. Once proximity check is done, then we just appreciate the treatment plan if the emergence profile is precise, okay, not from the buccally exposed, it should be palatally exposed, okay. Opportunity of the implant planning, I'll do the full arch planning today, and this is the single implant case. Sometime you do the multiple implant case, stitch supported guide. Sometimes you do the parallel implant. If it is the locator attachment cases or bar over denture cases, you are planning for the parallel implant. Sometimes you are going for the all on X cases, making all the abutment parallel or bilaterally parallel. Okay. When you do the all on X cases, when your intention is to avoid the cantilever and you experience sinus is there in the posterior regions and anterior aspect, very little amount of bone is there, right? And you want to load multiple implants, right? So in that kind of situations, you go with the full arch implant placements with the all on X cases. Sometimes you plan that no bone is there, no anterior bone, no posterior bone, right? You end up with the treatment planning for zygoma guide or zygoma implants or the pterygoid implant. Okay, we have all the opportunities, and if you are still struggling, all these situations that zygoma can't be delivered, regular conventional implant can't also be delivered, then you follow with the PSI implant, right? So these are the treatment plan already you know, and we need to approach the guided surgery concept for this kind of treatment planning. Final information is that for the surgical guide design, what we do before designing the surgical guide or before building the confidence in surgical guide is that understand your drill first, right? Is it regular drill or is the guided drill? How you relevant these informations with the software? In the software implant panel, make sure you first need to select the drill kit first, okay? Once you select the drill kit, you need to have the understanding about the drill kit informations, right? And relate this information with your guide hole diameter and the offset, right? If you think that guide hole diameter and offset is precise as per the drill kit, right? Now you need to move on to the next stage. What is that next stage? Next stage is that guide design concept, right? Where you do the guide design in the software, as we say, there are four primary panels are there. What are the four primary panels? One is the surface panel, where you welcome all the STL file in the DICOM file, you see the data in the surface panel. Second, model manipulation panel. What is there in the model manipulation panel? If you want to repair the model, closing the model, or sometimes we create the soft tissue from the denture, reverse model, or the digital pouring, we say, it's there in the model manipulation panel. Then you need to have the good understanding about the implant panel, where you get the implant list of implant, guide tube, abutment, drill kit, and guide hole diameter and the offset informations, right? All these informations are there in the implant panel. And then you design your surgical guide, okay? When you design the surgical guide, you need to be there in the surgical guide panel. So you should have the understanding about the four panel, surface, model manipulation, implant panel, and the guide panel, okay? Now crucial point about the surgical guide design is the path of insertions, okay? In the surgical guide, you have the in the guide panel, you have the options for the defined path of insertion. What is it? It blocks the undercut. Okay. Now you know, after doing the surgical guide design, after doing the printing of the surgical guide, your surgical guide doesn't fit precisely in the patient mouth. Why is that? First, one and only reason is that undercut. Your search guide 3D printer is poor or your treatment plan is poor, it doesn't impact much on the sitting of the surgical guide. But if you are not considering the undercut in the software before designing the surgical guide, always your surgical guide will have the negative impact in stabilizations of the guide in the patient mouth. Okay, so it's completely associated with the undercut. How to take care of the undercut in the software? There is a concept called defined path of insertion. That means from which angle, from which aspect you are stabilizing the surgical guide. So if you consider undercut in the software, then you randomly, wrongly, you design the surgical guide. All the time your surgical guide will sit on the patient mouth. What are the things needs to be considered? Synchronization of the patient records, first stage, then precise treatment plan, second stage, and understanding of right workflow. Okay, once you carry the right workflow, right understanding, always you know how to make the decisions. Okay, let's do the treatment planning now. I'll show you how to execute this treatment plan. I believe all this information is little bit clear with you all. I went quite little fast. Okay. So the fundamental should be clear. I know already you are involved with all this kind of information. Some of us haven't started the software at all after my program, or some already printing the surgical guide or doing the guided surgery, or some of us know how to do the what is the software involvement, what is the scanning protocol and all, but still they are struggling to appreciate the fundamental of the workflow, right? So we have the mixed group here. I believe in with my past 45 minutes speech, it's clear for to all, right? To how to approach your journey, okay? To initiate the software program. Now here in my case, I have one patient wearing the denture. I'm expecting I'll come again in another sessions with different kind of case for the implant planning and the surgical guide design, or to understand the complexity of the treatment plan. Okay, today I'm considering one full arch case, edentulous case, right? Thank you, Dr. Bhavin. So today we are going to take you through the full arch case, okay, for the edentulous patients. Here our goal to pay attentions here in the session. One is the UI, user interface of the software. Second, little bit of workflow and little bit of treatment plan and the surgical guide design. Okay. Now you see I have the three files there. I have three files there. One is patient scan, patients wearing the denture, okay, with the fiduciary markers and individual scan of the denture, okay. I have the softwares, you know, right now you are already exposed with the blue sky plan UI, okay, and this is the implant planning module where we are going to load the DICOM file. Today we don't have the intraoral scan, we have only the DICOM file. Now, out of these three files, first file I'll appreciate CBCT with the denture. That means patient was wearing both the denture. Okay. I'll drag and drop this file in Blue Sky Plan software where implant planning and surgical guide. Now, in your case, sometime in my workshop, always I say about learn zip and unzip program first. Okay. Make sure when you get the data, it should be unzipped. Once you get the data, you should extract all the file. Okay. You are not dragging and dropping the surgical guide and the intraoral scan into the software. First, you only import the DICOM file, and then only you will drag and drop the intraoral scan. Now I have the DICOM file there. I'll just release my mouse in the implant planning and surgical guide. We are recording this session just in case if you I'm going fast, or just in case if you miss any information, don't worry, we'll give you the link to go through this session again for the treatment plan. What we do while we load the DICOM data, we load it in medium quality, okay? And there is a checkbox, fix erroneous data, right? I'll check this box so that in the process of loading, if something glitches are there, software will automatically encounter the problem. You just click OK to load the DICOM data. Then just simply follow with the instruction, dialog box, whatever you have. Now you can see I have the data right in the software, in the screen. 4 screens are there. Now there are so many different screens are there, and you need to be comfortable with. You need to decide with which screen you are going to be comfortable, right? I always prefer tangential 3. That means we have the 5 screen. Where you have the tangential 3, in the shortcuts there is an option called perspective, okay? In the perspective, just a second. In the perspective, we will see there in the perspective program, there will be the tangential 3, tangential 4, tangential 5, tangential 3 and 5, and MPR window, and different windows will be there. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, let me see something there in the screen. Okay, so you can see this screen is the pan view, this screen is the cross section, and this screen is the tangential window, and this is 3D screen. What, as I say, that you need to understand the panel. I am there in the model master. In the right hand side top corner, you will see you have the screen for the to switch the software to different wizard. Okay, sometime you as the date in the data loading stage, you need to be there in the model master. While you do the implant planning, you just need to click there, and you will switch the software to the advanced. Okay, now same there in the panel, there are 4 panels that we primarily we need to appreciate. One is the surface panel, then you have the model manipulation panel, implant panel, and the surgical guide panel. Okay, now my job is done of downloading the DICOM data as per the document. As I explained in the first uh, minutes of my session, that there are some way work things are there in the data loading stage, that you need to load all the data. One is the DICOM, one is the additional scan for the, let's say, intraoral scan, denture. If it is the STL file, you will load it, load the nerve, and if teeth are required, you will establish all the teeth there, and then only you will start with the planning process. Okay, now I have the denture file. I'll go to the file. Okay, I believe my screen is not visible there while I clicking on the file. That drop down is not coming. Okay, just give me a second. Let me see what's going on. Just uh, can you ask Anu? Anu. Everyone, please give me 2 minutes. Okay, let me see my this drop downs of the screen is not coming there. If anyone, can you please give me feedback? I'm clicking on the file. Can you see this drop down?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, yes. Just give me a second, okay? This drop down is not coming. I mean, when I'm clicking now, it's not getting shared. See, remote control, when to leave mouse keyboard control. if I'm clicking there in the file now, the screen it is not coming, you see. Okay. That's all right. No, it's not coming by default. Multiple participant connection. Option, no? No. This is not live. It's showing. Option. Shadow. This screen, initial. Screen. Oh, coming. Thanks. Okay. I think right now you can see the drop down, right?
Yes.
Okay. Once you load the DICOM data, right? Now it's your call. You want to drag and you load the additional scan, upper scan or lower scan, anything is good, right? Now you are not dragging and dropping. That is what we call homeowner and the guest. So that means your CBCT of the patient is the homeowner. That means project owner, right? And the entire software is your house, we say. Okay. So guest you need to welcome later after the homeowner. So first you need to welcome the homeowner in the house and then only you welcome the guest. Now, if you realize guests are wrong for your house or guest is not ideal for your house, you just need to remove the guest from the house, right? Why it is that? Same there, synchronization we call. If you realize additional data is not well synchronized, that means immediately you will need to remove the additional data, right? And same there, guest and the house owner, right, don't have the same door. We say both have the individual door to welcome in the house, right? Project owner or the house owner, you can directly welcome to the house. That means dragging and dropping the DICOM file. But when it is the additional data, right, you have the different door. It is called import DICOM, or the here in the software you say different functions. Okay, going to the file and import DICOM. If you simply drag and drop the additional data or additional scan, your guest will replace the owner. Okay, so that is why you just need to welcome the additional data through import DICOM. And now, as per the category of the data name you have, right, you are going to load the data. Like right now, if you have the impression scan, you are going to load impression scan. If you have the model scan, if you have the scan appliance, what is scan appliance? RPD or the denture with the markers, we say it is the scan appliance. If you have the impression with the markers, you are going to load the data through the impression with the markers, right? Right now, this is the scan with the denture. In the pen view only, you can see there are so many markers are there in the pen view, right? So we are going to import this data through the scan appliance, okay? If you click on the scan appliance, you just need to find out where is the data you have. Just give me a second, let me see where is the file. Refreshment program folder, data, and I'll import the maxillary scan. Okay, I'll just need to click on the folder. Okay, and I'll click OK. You do not need to open the entire folder. You just need to click on the master folder and don't click on the owner again. Okay, make sure simply click the denture first. Okay, once denture is clicked, same there, medium quality, click OK. The denture scan, it will take you to the special window where the screen will guide you to select both the markers. Okay, this is the four screen we have, and with the screen only you need to have the understanding where is the mandible markers, where is the maxilla markers, right? Just increasing the density slider, and same there. This is the markers for the denture. Now this is the scan patient with the denture. This is the window for the denture only, and this is the 3D denture. That means once superimposition done, this 3D file will sit on the patient scan, right? So you can see lot of distortions are there in the denture. So you need to repair this denture just playing with the density. Okay, now see, I reduce the density slider. Now it is giving me the good surface quality of the denture. Okay, what to do? You just make sure it should not have any kind of holes there in the denture. Okay, now carefully select the markers. I'm getting worried because there are so many markers are there. Okay, we just need to be very careful to select the markers. One is there, one is there. It's not mandatory. You can finish one side first, another side later. But to be careful, I'm just placing the markers one by one. Same there. Carefully place all the markers. No need to select all the markers. Make sure equally you are selecting the numbers. Okay. Both the side 11 markers and 11 markers are there. Okay. Now it's not like don't click OK immediately. There's a left hand side bottom corner. You have a checkbox. Okay. That means you are feeding the information to AI that these are the markers I have selected, and with the reference of these markers, I want to stitch this STL file. How you are getting this STL file? Once you load the DICOM data, software automatically process the DICOM into 3D. That means in STL, you do not need to convert the STL every time if it is the additional data, right? Now simply click OK, and excuse me if I am getting wrong superimpositions. How to validate the superimpositions immediately after loading the data, additional data. Make sure you validate the superimposition first. Okay, in the MPR window, I have switched this program to the MPR, and I appreciate the coronal window. Okay, in the coronal window, you can see the superimpositions. Try to understand the reference point, landmarks to validate the superimpositions. You can see this air gap. Always I say air gap, it is there. With the air gap, you will need to appreciate the superimpositions. Little bit it is off. As online sessions, I'm not going to fix this superimpositions right now, but there is a way. I'll try to place the markers precisely once again, because there are so many markers. Here I'm not trying, but make sure in your case, place the markers taking your time. Okay. Now, just to understand if your superimposition precise or not, you see little bit of no gap is there in the actual CBCT position of the denture with the virtual superimpositions. Okay. Same there. Here also you can see little bit of gap is there. So these are the error point. What if you go with the planning, and if you go with the real time surgery, what kind of outcome you may experience? You will experience little bit off in the site, or little bit off in the angulations as per your treatment plan. Okay, but stabilization of the guide will not hamper. This is not associated with the stabilization of the guide or the sitting verifications of the guide. This is associated with the osteotomy error. Okay, so when you do the wrong superimposition, same there, wrong osteotomy you experience in the real time. Okay, now I'm done with the superimposition. So it is the stage of data loading. I'm going a little bit fast. Okay, I'm hide this original CBCT scan. I don't need this original CBCT scan. You can see the STL file. I'll name it as a denture. You can change the color if you want. It's not necessary. If you want, you can do that. Same there. To remove the unnecessary surfaces from the denture, you have the isolate program. Now, if you click on the isolate program and if you click on the denture surface, you see this is gone, right? That the particular part is not connected with the denture. So you can just click on the isolate and you can click on the particular surface to isolate it. Okay. So my denture isolation is done. Using this denture, I can get the soft tissue. How to create the soft tissue? Going to the model manipulation. As I said, 4 primary panel, surface panel, model manipulation panel, and we are still there in the model master. Okay. Now, what is my purpose, right? My purpose is to create the soft tissue. Okay. Teeth informations I have from the denture. I just need to create the soft tissue. Now, in the surface panel, you see draw curve is there with the model reversal. Okay. If I click on model reversal. Now primary functions hotkey in the software is shift key. Okay, clicking on the shift key, I'm just drawing one curve through the flanges, ridges of the denture. I'm expecting I can finish these sessions before 5:30 with the implant planning to surgical guide design. And I want all of your feedback to understand if I'm going little bit fast later after this session, so that in the next sessions I can come with the precise planning or the after 2 days we have the program here in the office, and I thought why not to take you through the sessions. I'm building a little bit of positive energy to engage with you all. So we thought suddenly, oh, let's re-engage our Blue Sky Bio user group, because so many shy people are there in the group. No one share any comment in the communication. So considering that factor only, we realized we should bring you all in the live session so that we can build a relation once again. Okay, so everyone, so this is the draw curve is done, and you just need to click on the create inverted model. You will have the two STL file now, denture and the inverted mesh. Now what is next? We are still in the data loading. We loaded the DICOM, we loaded the denture, we are creating the soft tissue. Now we just need a 3D model of the bone. That's not necessary, but once we have this bone model, we can know we have the friendly screen to appreciate our entire treatment plan for the presentation purpose, or you can say technically if you say creating the context surface. Okay, there you have the file. Now you see two still file we have. If I hide the denture, this is the soft tissue, right? Immediately you can rename it as a soft tissue upper. I'm going to do the upper arch scan planning. Okay, this is why I'm not loading the lower denture scan, just to save our time. Okay, now another thing is that I have the denture, I have the soft tissue, right? What can I do? I can create one segmented bone model, 3D bone model. Not necessary, but can be done, because nowadays AI can give you the bone model within a minute, right? So of course, it's always appreciating to create the bone model. You just need to click on the panel. There is a program called segmentations, automatic jaw segmentations. You can select from the software and just select whatever the files you need. Airways you need, you can click on the airways. If you need bone model of the lower, you can click on the mandible. If you need maxilla, check on the maxilla. If you want teeth and the bone in a separate STL file. You can check this also. Right now, this is edentulous patient, right? I'm unchecking it. If you check it also, it doesn't matter, right? Because patient doesn't have the teeth. And just click on the start automatic jaw segmentations. Now my entire data loading phase will be done. I have the bone model, I have the soft tissue, I have the teeth surfaces from the denture, right? What else? Nerve, maxillary situations, you do not need to draw nerve, right? And you can simply start with the implant planning. This is called bone segmentations. Why do you need the bone segmentations? One is simulation purpose, to see the implants in 3D. Another one is to build, to create the contact surface of the bone, so that we say surgical guide uh, is the union of two components. One is for the contact surface, one is the metal cylinder, right? And whatever the contact surface you are using to create surgical guide, that surgical guide is named accordingly. If you are creating surgical guide on the teeth, it will be teeth supported. If you are creating surgical guide on the soft tissue, it will be the tissue supported. And if you are creating surgical guide on the bone, it will be the bone supported guide. It will take a little bit of time to create the bone segmentations, 1 or 2 minutes.
Sir, in the meantime, can you please answer the question I asked?
Yes, please. Is this Dr. Priya? You can.
Actually, I asked that how much impact will that minor discrepancy will have on the prosthetic or surgical outcome in that superimposition?
The amount of discrepancy you experience, similar discrepancy you will find. You need to do the measurement with the ruler, right? If you find 1 mm off, it is there coronally. Same there, 1 mm off, you might experience in the depth or the angulations or the offside.
Hmm.
So it depends. I mean, no, you need to do the measurement through the measurement ruler, right? Using that ruler, if you see that 1 mm, 1.5, whatever the discrepancies you experiences, that osteotomy error you may experience. Okay. Dhrubi here want to understand the sleeveless one guide answer what to do. Okay. Simply you need to create Dhruv is asking want to understand the sleeveless one guide as well, what to do. You can always go and create surgical guide sleeveless. If you are creating your own surgical guide, if you have your own 3D printer, you do not need to go with the sleeves. Okay. Resin shrinkage you don't experience because you have the 3D printer in front of you. After printing, you can immediately validate the adaptation of the drill. But if you're sending the surgical guide from one place to another place, right, in that frame of time, you might experience due to the temperature or and all resin shrinkage you experience. Okay, and to avoid resin shrinkage, you need to fix one metal components there. Now, this is the reason to use the sleeve or sleeveless, right? And on another thing to understand how to create sleeveless guide, you don't consider the sleeves in your entire workflow. You simply count the surgical guide, surgical drill diameter and the guidal diameter, right? Accordingly, you create the surgical guide. You can go always sleeveless. Is this clear, Dhruvi? Okay. I believe, Priya, you have your answer.
Yeah, sir, I have it. If in case there's something else I need from you, I'll ask you.
Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Ashish. Okay, we have now entire data in the screen, bone model. You can see maxilla model and the teeth are there. Okay, this is the bone model you have. You can see the transparency also for your, no, just for the visualization purpose. Again, okay. Now three data we have. One is bone model. What is it? Bone model, soft tissue, and the denture. Okay, and we are there in the model master screen. What do you need to do? Simply switch the screen from, I minimize the screen, sorry. Switch the screen to the advanced, okay, to start with the implant planning. Now for the implant planning, make sure always stay there in tangential 3. Okay. Now right hand side, you see there is no panel. Why? Because I didn't click on any panels. You just simply click on panels, surface panel, one thing you need, then implant panel you need. You will get implant list. This is the implant panel. In the implant panel, you will see drill kits are there. Different companies, different drill kits are there. Some many companies drill kits are not there in the software. You can use the custom kit instead of the listed drill kit. Okay, if you struggle to find any particular drill kit there. Okay, now now the simple job is to start placing the implant, right? For the full arch case or the single implant case, you have the shortcut there, add implant. You will not see this add implant if you're there in the model master, right? Now click on the add implant. Now select any implant. This is dentium, it is selected now. See, if I'm clicking dentium, no other library is visible. Why? Because here in my drill kit, only dentium is selected. Okay. So if I switch the drill kit to Blue Sky Bio fully guided kit, as it is their own software, if you select the drill kit, they will allow you in the software to find the other implant system, right? So first you select the implant. Once implant placement is done, then again you can switch the drill kit later. Okay. Now let's say I'm placing implant with any implant system. I'll consider Norris probably last day. If I'm not sure, Abby is there. Yes, he's here.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Okay. So he was asking this the 2 days back only to place the Norris, I mean, no, Norris drill kit. Okay. And I'm finding Norris drill kit. I'm going to place the Norris implant here. Okay. Norris, you can place whatever the good implant, tough, onyx is, these are the different Norris implant platforms are there. They have the active and aggressive implant thread also, where you can go with the biocortical engagement. Okay. So select the Norris implant systems with the particular platform. Same there, you select the any size first. Make sure while we do the treatment planning, our first consideration is not selecting the implant. Selecting the implant is there in the mindset. I always say that, I mean, no, narrow implant platform, regular implant platform, and the wider. Narrow we appreciate from lateral to lateral. Okay, from lateral to premolars we consider the regular platform, and the molar regions we consider the regular and the wider platform. Okay. Now I'm not worrying about my implant selections. I'm not worrying about the length. Okay. My first goal is to appreciate the site. Okay. I'm taking 3.75 probably. I have the opportunity later also I can replace the size. 3.75 by 10. Okay. And you have this multi-unit abutment there in the software for the particular some companies. If you don't have, then you just replace the implant and select the custom abutment there. Okay. why I'm taking the custom abutment. Let's say I'm taking 20 abutment with the 3 diameter or the 2 diameter, 1 diameter, doesn't matter. Okay, why I need the longer abutment? To understand the long axis. I can take the angle abutment right now. My first goal is to take the straight abutment. Okay, once I take this 3.3 or 3.75 by 10 with the long abutment, clicking OK, I just will start placing the implant. So I'm dropping the implant anywhere in the pan view. Okay, now my first intention in the 3D also, I'm seeing where I am placing the implant. Pan view is like a GPS. Okay, just to understand where you are placing the implant. Okay, now if you see in the 3D, it is following the arch directions. Okay, but pan view, you can see it is the flat screen. Okay, so that is why you just place the implant in the pan view and don't rely much on the pan view to appreciate if your implant is parallel or something. Okay, so little bit 3Ds help you can take. My first intentions to place implant probably will be there in the central, uh, placing the implant in the central. I drop this implant, site validation is done, then I'll place the implant. I'll validate my implant. If it is in the bone in the cross section, don't play with this screen, it is just for your information. Primary screen and the principal screen is the center screen. Okay, this is the adjacent slice that we don't need for any kind of information. Okay, now cross section, buccal angulations, lingual angulations. Okay, so make sure your implant should be come through the palatal aspect, not too much palatal. Okay, so quite close to the cingulum. Okay, now if I place this implant, I have little bit of understanding that my bone is very soft there in the buccal aspect, and if I place this implant there, probably I'll struggle with the no primary stability. So if you go with the aggressive implant, you can engage this implant in the nozzle floor. So I'm not going to take the decisions immediately. Okay, I'm placing this implant first. I need to understand how to spread the implant in the anterior posterior region. You can see I'm a little bit off from the central. I'm taking the implant mesially and will try if I can place two implant in the central. Now I can see a little bit of struggle will be there, narrow bone. If I tilt this implant, it is hitting the buccal cortical plate. If I tilt this implant and placing straight in the bone, I will need to take the 17-degree abutment there to get the excess of the abutment. You see abutment excess is going wrong. So I'll just need to execute accordingly. If I'm going to start implant placement there, now I can see my emergence profile coming through the palatal aspect. In same there in 3D also. I'll rotate my implant slightly so that to understand the opportunity if I can get the access from the center of the central. Now my first implant placement is done. There also first implant placement validation is done in the bone. Now if I need to do the proximity check, just keep scrolling and you see this is the nerve canal you have and it is away from the canal. Okay, incisive canal, you can do the use the measurement tool to do the measurement there. Okay, so it's all up to you how you are placing the implant. There are so many ways to deal with the implant. Sometimes you are intentionally exposing the implant from the palatal cortical plate if you do the bone grafting and all, and to achieve some buccal room, buccal bone there in the side. So this is how you consider the treatment plan. So the same there for the single implant case. I have one question in between. Just a second, sir, about the angle abutment. Can you tell us again? Yes. So it is Dr. John. Okay. So yes, one question is there. If how to consider this rotating the abutment. Okay. So you simply once you consider this abutment angulate, place this implant first, straight implant. Then if you realize with the straight implant or the straight abutment, right, your abutment exposed buccally, right, in the right hand side angle, you can take 17 degree, 15 degree, 25 degree, 30 degree, whatever the multi-unit abutment you are considering as per anterior or posterior region, you just need to set the angle first. Now after taking the angle, probably it will come through the offside. Okay, you need to have the teeth information. That is why we say hover your mouse, and I can make this denture a little bit transparent. Hover your mouse. Now you see the three axis. You just need to rotate the implant. Okay, same there. It is called torque in the real time. Okay, you need to do the torque in the surgical site also to get the MUA in the place. Okay, same there. It is called digital torque. That means rotating the implant. Okay, how to rotate? You can see the three axis: green color, red color, and the blue color. Using the blue color, you just need to rotate the implant. You are not rotating the abutment. Once rotating the implant, and you are understanding the opportunity of 17-degree emergence profile. Okay, I believe I have answered this question. Once first implant is placed, same there, it's same way you follow for the single implant case. For the single crown, unit crown, for side validations, bone validation, then proximity check, and then emergence profile. Following this concept, we apply all this implant planning, right? Double click, right click, duplicate the implant, and place the implant in the opposite side in the pan view. Now, in the pan view, it is looking parallel, but in real time, you see it might not be parallel. Okay, little bit off is there. If I right click, align with this implant, see, now it is parallel. Okay, now if I do this, make implant parallel, now see, in the real time 3D bone, it's looking little bit weird, right? So you have the opportunity to play with this implant angulations in the side. I am not doing it now. Okay, my concern is to make the abutment parallel. Okay, and we'll take the opportunity in there. First appreciate the emergence profile first see placing the implant there in the pan view. Go to the sagittal window, place, make the implant in the bone. Okay, then see the proximity with anything there. It is good. I can replace this implant, and I can take longer implant 11.5 because height is good to engage the nozzle floor. Okay, to have the good primary stability. Same there, the previous implant also I can replace. Right click replace, or right hand side you have the replace option. You can click on replace and click on the 11.5 and click OK, so that slightly I'm engaging the floor. To engage this implant in the floor, you will need to take more longer implant instead of 11.5. I'm okay right now because bone density is very good there. Okay, you do not need to worry. Now I can see this is my control Z. Something goes wrong. If something goes wrong, you can use the control Z from your shortcut hotkey, and then clicking on this implant, rotate the implant so that you can achieve little bit of parallel side. Okay, now this is my two implant positions. Now you can see my both the implant are little bit canted in the 3D. Okay, so to give the real simulations, realistic view, I'll just make this implant little bit distally off, and I'll tilt this implant. Okay, same there. I'll try right click, align with to make this implant parallel, and align with. How to do the implant parallel? Right click, align with, okay, align with implant and click on the previous implant to make both the implant parallel. Now rotate the abutment, get the exact side. Okay, if you see it's not still parallel, Okay, play with it. Okay, if you see it is good, now move the implant to the little bit anterior side. Okay, so that you can experience the center of the crown. Okay, you can see implant is slightly exposing out of the bone. You can replace the implant, take the shorter implant to get out of this, or go with the grafting. Okay, same there in the cross section. You can see there. Okay, you can push this implant little bit off from the bone. Now, how I am getting this white outline? This is the reference of the bone. Again, we struggle when we start this software, right? We struggle to understand the little bit of UI of this software. You can see this, the hint program is there. Okay, if I uncheck the hint of this bone model, right, you will see the outline is not there. Okay, so make sure hint is the reference of 2D and visible is the reference of 3D. If you want to see something in 3D, you just need to click the checkbox of the visible. If you want to see the particular surface in 2D, you will need to click on the visible of the hint. Okay. Now I have placed two implant there. Okay, both are accessed through the palatal aspect. You can tilt the implant little bit more to understand the, to integrate the implant in the anatomy more precisely. Once you appreciate the two anterior implant, okay, now duplicate this implant. Now place intermediate implant. I can place 6 implant there, 3 implant in the one side, 3 implant in the other side. Also, I can place the tilted implant there. If I'm placing the posterior implant, I can tilt the implant, the post distal, two distal implants, I can tilt in through the avoiding the sinus. Okay. Now, next implant, if I'm placing, I will place in the, if I'm one implant, I'm placing in the central. Another implant might be I'll be placing in the canine or interdental space of the canine on the first or the first premolar, right? So I'm selecting this implant. Same there, side validation is done. Then your bone validations. Now here in the bone validations, I'll play with the buccal and lingual angulation and I'll see through 3D, okay, if I'm getting the palatal axis, okay. If I have the opportunity, I will keep all the implant parallel with all the abutment, okay. Now you see after placing this implant, immediately you can make the decision good bone is there, why to place with the narrow implant, right? Replace this implant and take the wider platform implant. I have the 4.2 by 11.5. I'm going with 4.2 by 11.5 there. Okay, bone density is very good. And this was the patient from Hyderabad basically. And we already did the surgery. Okay, so second implant is done. Okay, and at the same time, if you know, it's all about your decisions how you are placing this implant. Make sure while you do the implant, rotate the implant in such a way. See, 17-degree angulated abutment I have taken, right? I appreciate the 30-degree or 25-degree abutment in the posterior side, not in the anterior or intermediate side, right? And while I'm placing the abutment, I'll rotate the abutment in such a way so that I can achieve at least the no same path of insertion of both the abutment or same axis of both the abutment or the both the abutment are parallel, right? So this how you achieve this, you just need to rotate the implant in 3D. Okay, so and try to achieve that emergence profile and see and appreciate through the teeth. That is why we call without teeth or without occlusions, we cannot do the implant planning, right? It's very wrong. I mean, no, we will do the blind planning if it is happening such way. So another implant side, duplicate the implant, position in the posterior side, okay, and just arbitrarily tilt the implant, okay. Once implant tilting is done, I'm not sure. Norris has 25 or 30-degree. It has 30-degree side, right? I'll take the custom implant with the 30-degree. Okay. And I'll click OK there. Now again, first rotate the implant. Okay, implant rotation is done. Now first implant site is done. Bone validation in the side, play with the buccal and lingual angulation so that your abutment comes straight through the no center of the prosthesis crown. Okay, you can slightly easily shift wherever you want the side there. You tilt it little bit more. Okay, to achieve the posterior spread, or same there in the cross section. Make the implant transparent. Instead of 11.5, replace this implant and take the shorter implant, 4.2 by 10 or 5 by 10 implant, anything is good. Okay, and same there in the 360-degree, you validate to understand the proximity, avoid any exposure of the implant out of the bone. You can play with the mesodistal angulations little bit to get the emergence profile rightly. Okay, so my tilted implant is placed. If you want to do the angulation measurement, same there you have the tools and the angular measurement tool, right? Top one click, second click in the occlusal aspect, and then straight one straight line. Okay, 328-degree, that means close to 32-degree tilting, and you need to be very precise to understand this. It is 330-degree only. Okay, I mean 30-degree only tilted. Okay, you can place 30, 35, 25, it doesn't matter. Main thing is that know how to achieve the emergence profile of the abutment. Okay, after taking the 30-degree. Okay, same there, opposite side placement. Okay, what I did, I place the implant. First, select the implant from the add implant, add abutment, then place the implant. Then I did the side validations in the pan view. Then I bone validations in the cross section, and then proximity check in the tangential window. Now again, I duplicated the implant and reposition another side. Okay, again I did the side validation, bone validations, and once I realized bone is good, width is good, length is good, I replaced the implant with the wider size. Same again, duplicating the implant. Again, I shift the another side, and then again side validations, bone validations, and proximity check. And in the posterior side, I realized that I can take the 30-degree instead of 17-degree. I replace the implant with the abutment with the 30-degree, right? And then I rotate the implant to understand where the opportunity will be there for the emergence profile. Okay, same there, avoiding sinus. Okay, now first 3, 4 implants is done. I'll duplicate this anterior implant and I'll reposition, or you can remove this implant. Okay, no need. Now, one trick, if you remember in my program, to copy the implant to the opposite quadrant, right, to maintain the anterior posterior spread. Okay, we can take the opportunity of the MPR window. Let's say regular implant. I mean, sorry, intermediate implant. I'm selecting the intermediate implant. I'm switching the window to MPR, and in the MPR window, let's say this is the side, I'll duplicate this implant. I'll shift this implant to this side. Okay, and I'll just rotate, reverse tilting this implant, and I'll do the minus 17-degree. Okay, arbitrary angulation. Now go back to the previous screen, tangential 3. This is the side. Okay, first I'll validate the implant in the bone. My implant is in already in bone. Okay, now I'll rotate the implant. Okay, to achieve the emergence profile. Okay, now you see little bit it is off. It is not very parallel to this implant. I'll tilt this implant buccolingually, right? In keep your eye in 3D and see the 3D. It's now almost in the same path of insertions, right? Now see from all the aspect, don't rely on 3D and don't rely on from one side angulations or the involvement of the implant. See all the aspect of the 3D, 2D, okay, cross sections and the tangential to appreciate the particular side. Now my implant position is done with this side. If you want to validate the proximity, you can go with the again tangential window and keep scrolling there. I think I'm happy with this site. Okay. Now another implant. Same there. Repeat the process. Click this implant. Go to the MPR window. In the MPR window, duplicate this implant. Shift this implant to the opposite quadrant. Okay. 30° it was. Make it minus 30°. Okay. Reverse it. I'm done. This is the arbitrary side. Don't rely. Just duplicate it so that if I have the opportunity, I will claim it. Okay. Now tangential 3. In the tangential 3, first you see which side it is. There is the side. And one more challenge is that your posterior, be careful. You need to understand about the patient, chair side only, mouth opening and everything. You need to validate. Sometimes we are placing the implant, tilting the implant in the posterior side, and your handpiece is completely inside the patient mouth, and you are not getting the angulation. So all these things you need to worry, you need to consider, you need to carry concern, right, before going with the tilted implant concept. Okay. Now for this side, I'm getting the access through the molar. So make sure your associate practice and your communication should be very clear. You need to understand your patient's mouth opening and everything, right? And then only make decisions about the treatment plan. Now both the sides are validated. I'll do the mesodistal angulations little bit. I'll shift this implant to the second premolar or the anywhere you need. Okay. If you need little bit of tilting of this implant, torquing of this implant, you torque it through the rotation. Now check this 3D off, and just to understand the abutment relations, you can see both the path of insertion see from the maxillary aspect. Okay. Now both the path of insertion little bit off. Either way, I have the opportunity, I'll tilt this implant like this with the opposite relations of the implant, and then I'll tilt the rotations of the abutment, okay, so that I can see the relations of both the posterior abutment, okay. And immediately once you do, make sure verify. If anything you are manipulating in 3D, make sure you verify in the tangential window to avoid exposure of the implant outside bone. Slice visibility is there right hand side to see the coronal slice relation. You can see clicking on this implant. You see I'm maintaining the posterior spread. Okay. Where is it? You have the right hand side. A sign is there for the slice visibility in 3D. And this is my, I'm sorry, this is my implant position. You see bilateral, both the implants are parallel, anterior implants are parallel, bilateral intermediate implants are parallel. Same path of insertion, I won't say parallel because both the quadrant anatomical structure is different, right? You cannot expect all the time to make the abutment parallel. Okay, same, the both the posterior abutments are the same path of insertion. Okay, now my anatomy, if you see, my both the implants are, all the implants, 6 implant I have placed. Okay, now if you want mesodistal angulation, canting of the implant, let's say the implant is slightly canting in other side. Okay, you can change in the, you can play with in the no hand view only. This can be things you can take care of yourself, right, while you executing the treatment plan. From this implant planning, what we understand right now, that how to take the opportunity of the implant planning workflows, shortcut of the implant, where the implant icons are there, what windows we are using, pan view, cross section, tangential, 3D, how we are considering the angulations of the abutment. Right hand side, we have the panel. We switch this, manipulate the angulations of the abutment. In 3D, you just need to rotate the implant using the blue circle, right? Using the blue circles, you just rotate the implant so that you can appreciate the emergence profile. And these are the four things we consider: site validation, bone validation, proximity check, and the emergence profile. One more window is there, MPR window. Why it is needed MPR window? MPR window to maintain the anterior posterior spread or posterior posterior relations. So if you are placing one implant in one side, so to copy the implant to the opposite quadrant, you can of course do it in the pan view. It is not necessary all the time to go to the MPR window. But if I'm everything I'm doing in 3D, I have the pre-understanding. If bone is giving me the opportunity, I will always claim the opportunity, right? So this is what my psychology is in the treatment planning, right? Again, it is not necessary once you copy the implant to the opposite side and bone will be waiting for you there. Good bone will be waiting for you there. Probably that side bone will be defect, right? Or some vital structure might be there, or some bleaches will be there. So you will need to avoid that situations. So if there is a good bone, I'll always try to claim the opportunity. I will take the opportunity from there. Okay. Now I see my implant planning is done. I lock all the implant. My sizes are good, right? I can take the screenshot. I can check the implant IDs there. Okay, I'm taking the I check all the implant IDs. I'll take the first screenshot, right hand side. Then in the 3D also I'll take the screenshot. Okay, same there. I have the teeth there. Okay, to understand the emergence profile, I'll take the screenshot of this 3D. Isn't it same there, one by one? I'll take the screenshot of the cross section. How to set the cross section? The green circle is there, right? The yellow one is your cross section. Align this tangential circle with the yellow one. Okay. And this will be my cross section. My CBCT is not rightly oriented in the screen, or my pan view is off. That is why it is showing the this angle. If I need to set the screen, let me set the pan curve, raw pan curve. I'll check the pan curve through the as per the shape of my bone. Okay, my orientations of the CBCT is little bit off probably. Okay, this is the cross section. Okay, you just need to align these cross sections with the this tangential line, or simply take the screenshot of your sagittal window. Okay, one by one you can save the screenshot of all the side. Okay, so that you can prepare the report. You can click on the PDF and you will have the report there. Okay, for all the side, right? I'll come to this topic later. So once your implant planning is done, what is next? For the full arch case, you need to place the fixation pin, right? You can hide this pan curve in the axial slice. There is a projection icon is there. In the shortcut, adjacent to the implant, there is nerve. Adjacent to the nerve, you have the tooth teeth setup to hide, and then adjacent to it, it has the show all projection. You can click on the show all projections to hide the projection from the axial slice. Why I am now into the axial slice? I place the implants. In generally, we don't use the axial window. We just use the axial window to place fixation pin, right? How to place the fixation pin? If you click on the plus implant sign, pin is there. You can click on custom pin. Right now, we provide the fixation pin in Indian market, right? And you have some fixation pin from the companies. If you are using guided kit, you will get the fixation pin there also. We always use the guided planning with our own fixation pin. It is 18.5 by 2 mm, right? What is the length 1? This green circle you can see, this is the handle length. You can avoid this information. Main length is the body length, 18.5 by 2 mm diameter, okay? And click OK and place first implant in the between two implants, okay, in the anterior region, okay? Or you can place one implant there in the posterior like this, between two implant. Then again duplicate this implant, place another implant between the anterior side, central implant, okay, and then click this implant and rotate this implant and place this implant in the posterior between two implant. Now see the angulations of the implant, two implant in the posterior distally axis and one implant, or sorry, fixation pin, not implant, two fixation pin distally axis in the posterior side and one fixation pin in the straight, right? See there, side validations is done. Now in the cross sections, you position this fixation pin with the soft tissue and the denture, okay? This should be the axis. So make sure while you place the fixation pin, it should not contact the lip. Okay. One by one, all the fixation pin, scroll and find your fixation pin. It's gone. This one. Click one by one and validate the fixation pin in the cross section. Angulate. Make it into the crest, avoiding the inside the entire inside implant in the bone. Little bit of bone engagement is good, okay, and make sure it is intersecting the soft tissue and the denture, okay. Same third implant, third fixation pin, find it, this is the fixation pin again in the axial slice, and same there, till this fixation pin, position this fixation pin in the side, okay. My pin position is done. You can validate same there in the tangential window to understand if your fixation pin is hitting the adjacent implant. Same there, if you are struggling with the tangential window, going to the surface panel, hide all the surface and see in 3D also, right? If you realize that fixation pin is very close to the no implant side, you can rotate the fixation pin and manipulate there in 3D. Okay, now validate cross section side, it is good. You can play with the transparency to understand where the implant position is. Okay, this is the implant side. Once it is done, lock all the implant. So we are done with the data loading, we are done with the implant planning. Now it's your call to design the surgical guide, right? How to design the surgical guide? You need to think when it comes to the surgical guide design, it is all about the contact surface. Okay, first lock all the implant. Now, either way, you are designing the surgical guide on the soft tissue or you are designing the surgical guide on the bone model. All good. You go with the bone stabilization, you go with the surgical guide, bone supported surgical guide. Flap needs to be open. If you realize that bone leveling needs to be done or the bone reduction needs to be done, then of course you need to create surgical guide on this surface only to do the bone reduction, okay. If it is the teeth surfaces are there, if you think it is the dented case, not the edentulous case, you will be creating surgical guide on intraoral scan. So here in 3D it will be the particular intraoral scan or the bone model or the soft tissue scan. First I will create the soft tissue scan, right? And the job will be the implant surgical guide design, okay. Now here you need to first select the drill kit. If you realize drill kit is not there, see, not notice drill kit is not updated in blue sky plan, right? In that situations, how to take the call? Okay, you select the custom kit and set the guide hole diameter and offset as per the notice, okay. You need to select the implant one by one. I'll hide the denture tissue first. I'll click on this implant. I'll minimize the abutment. I'll minimize the implant. Only I need the software guide tube setting. Okay. Right hand side, this information so you can see. I understand everyone has the clear information about data loading. For some of you, probably this will be struggling to appreciate the entire session because I'm going a little bit fast. And if you are not strongly involved with your practice in the software, you may struggle in these sessions. It will be like little bit confusing because in the real time sessions you experience. I allow you all to do the hands on, and in with you I also do the one-on-one discussions to check your treatment plan. But here in these situations I am going with the treatment plan and you are just observing, right? We'll share this recording, okay, and then we'll come into the one-on-one discussions with everyone to answer your queries. Okay, so just make sure stay with me, bear me, and encourage me, okay, so that in future also I can keep continuing this kind of session to brush you all up in treatment planning and guide design. Okay. Anyways, I'm starting again. So we have completed the data loading stage. We have completed the implant planning stage. Now we are talking about the surgical guide design stage. So before surgical guide design, it's not like you just did the implant plan and simply create the guide. It's all about guide hole diameter and offset. Okay. In the guide hole diameter, we are not going to talk about the guide hole diameter right now in depth. We are in already there in the group. The way we are communicating, right? You just need to ask us there to understand the guide hole diameter and the offset. In particular, few implant systems, you just need to select the drill kit from there, and you automatically guide hole diameter and offset will take care. But again, you need all the time. You need to have the good understanding about the guide hole diameter and the offset. So if I talk about the Norris, right? Norris, we have the 5 size of the Norris drill. Now, Dr. Dhruvi is here. She asked how to go with the sleeveless concept. Okay. Now I'm talking about the sleeveless concept. If you in future, if you incorporate in-house 3D printer in your clinic, right? Now, you just need to go, you do not need to calculate the sleeves. You just find out the guiding section diameter. Let's say Norris guiding section is 5 mm. We will keep the guide hole diameter 5.1. Okay. Offset is 10 mm. I'll keep the, what is that offset? The guiding shank length itself is a offset. Okay. And in technically, the gap between the head of the implant, these are the guide tube. Where I'm getting this guide tube, if you see right hand side of my screen, implant shortcuts are there, abutment shortcut is there, and the guide tube shortcut is there. If I click on the shortcut of the guide tube, in the icon of the shortcut you will see all the guide tube will be there in the 3D screen, right? And these are the resin surface. If you are not considering the metal, you just consider these are the resin surface. Okay. And this internal diameter is your guide hole diameter. So I kept it 5.1 as per the Norris size. Okay. And the offset, this gap from the head of the implant to the head of the this resin surface of the guide tube, I'm keeping it as 10 mm. Once it is done, I'll click on apply to all, and it will apply to all the osteotomy and the fixation pin. Okay. But in the fixation pin, guide hole diameter and offset should not be equal to the osteotomy. Hence, I'm just clicking on the fixation pin and manually 2 point, as my fixation pin diameter is 2 mm, or I'm going to use the 2 mm drill. I'm using this guide hole diameter as 2.1, and my always standard offset is minus 1.5 because I'm using 18 mm drill. There are some calculations are involved. Don't pay attention. We are there in the group. Always we can discuss this offset and the guide hole diameter setting, right? I'm always clicking one by one. I'm not hitting anything. Don't click on apply to all 2.1, and try to be careful. I appreciate to go with the sleeves in the fixation pin side. without going sleeveless. Okay. And in my real case, I take 3.1 mm or the 4.1 mm as per my metal cylinder sizes. Okay. And question is why I go with the metal ring for the fixation pin. As you know that 3D printer struggles with the narrow diameter dimensional accuracy. Okay, so if you print 2 mm, 2.1 mm, might be your printer will struggle and it will not give you as accurate the setting you are doing in the software. That is why we consider 3 mm or 4 mm sizes of the guide hole diameter with the metal rings. Okay, so if your metal ring outer diameter is 3 mm, I'm taking guide hole diameter 3.1 mm, or if my metal ring outer diameter is 4 mm, I'll consider the 4 mm diameter. That means 4.1 mm guide hole diameter. Offset is minus 1.5 mm. This is standard for R fixation pin. If you go 0.1, 0.5 mm, minus 1 mm, you will not go wrong. Don't worry, because fixation pin offset is not your osteotomy, right? It is for the temporary purpose only. You are stabilizing the guide. So don't worry about the offset. Minus zero point 0.5, minus 1, or minus 1.5, all okay. We know minus 1.5 is our calculation for our fixation pin for the 18 mm drill. That is why we are using minus 1.5. Okay, but make sure be careful with the site of the osteotomy. Sometime if you're using for the first time, your guide hole diameter and the offset will be wrong in one of the all osteotomy. So check all one by one, double click on the implant, and right hand side keep your eye in the software guide tube setting and see if it is a 5.1 mm and 10 mm. Okay, same size applies to ostem also. If you're using one guided kit, it is 5.1 by 10 mm. Okay, click one by one all the implant, click one by one all the implant, click one by one all the implant, and see if the sizes are good. Now my sizes are good. I'm done with the data loading. I'm done with the fixation implant planning, fixation pin planning. What I need to do? As I said, four primary panels are there: surface, model manipulation, implant panel. What you did in the implant panel? Drill kit, then your implant, right hand side, keep your eye on my screen, then abutment screen, then software guide tube screen. Final job is software guide tube setup. Okay, now in your 3D screen, what you need? You don't need the implant, you are hiding it. How? You're checking the shortcut of the implant in the right hand side and checking the abutment shortcut. You're hiding it because surgical guide is the union of two components. One is contact surface, another one is guide tube, right? Same there in 3D. I just need soft tissue contact surface and the guide tube, nothing else. Okay, because my implant planning is done and logged. Surfaces are there, superimposition is done, verified, and it is static in the softwares. It will not move anywhere. Okay, offset is done. Okay, now you see, if after doing the offset, if you realize this internal diameter of the guide tube is somewhere, it is contacting in 3D. Now if you see the tilted implant, right, my this is slightly engaging the soft tissue, impinging the soft tissue. After adjusting the offset, in that side, you will need to make incisions. You will need to make the, you will need to raise the flap. Okay, and same thing, you will need to communicate to your clinician or to your practice or for yourself. You just need to write the note that posterior, where I'm clicking, just right hand side report is there in the screenshot panel. Click on PDF and note is there. I'll say posterior side minimal flap needs to be raised to avoid tube contact with the soft tissue. Why then? If after printing of the surgical guide, if I see the report, okay, and it is mentioned that flap needs to be raised, and I'll make the incisions. My surgical guide will not struggle. If you are using, okay, another thing is that this is only to be considered if you are using metal cylinders. Okay, if metal cylinders are not there, then don't worry, just design the guide. Because if you're thinking that it is hitting the surface, if metal cylinders is there, then only your surgical guide will struggle. If metal cylinder is not there, then surgical guide, you just need to simply stabilize the guide on the patient mouth. Now, how to make the decision about surgical guide? In this case, I'll prepare two kind of case. One is pin guide first, and second one is the uh, osteotomy guide, right? I have the denture there. Okay. I'll hide the soft tissue now, and I'll hide all the osteotomy tube. Only I'll check the fixation pin tube. Done. You see, only fixation pin tube. Okay. Now going to the guide panel, I don't have the right hand side guide panel. Click on the panel, guide fabrication panel. Okay. Now in the guide fabrication panel, now there are two ways to create the surgical guide. One is their scan appliance guide. Another one is the guide manual guide creations. Okay. While you convert the denture into surgical guide, you do not need to worry about the path of insertion. Why? Your denture is already sitting up in the patient mouth. It undercut is already taken care of, right? So we can convert this denture into surgical guide. You can check all the osteotomy tube and you can click on the create scan appliance guide. It will give you the entire guide at a time, right? Just for an example, I'm showing you, right? Let's say one guide you want to create on the soft tissue and one guide you want to validate for the fixation pin. I just check the fixation pin tube and the denture, and I'll click on the create scan appliance guide, and you will see I will have one guide. I'm going to the surface panel, hide the real denture, hide the implant pin and all. You see, I click on the create scan appliance guide. Now I have this pin guide, right? So for the edentulous case, first I'll print this guide, stabilize this guide in the patient mouth, and first I will drill the site. Now, after drilling this site, I have my understanding that these are the indexing region where I need to stabilize the guide. Okay, something goes wrong, you are okay, because fixation pin locations you already know, right? So if you somewhere you open the flap, somewhere you are not opening the flap, you do not need to worry because your surgical guide is uh, going to lock with the fixation pin, right? Now this I can name it as a pin guide, right? Where you can see in the surface panel you hide everything. Okay, only check the pin guide. Okay, now second guide, my soft tissue is there, same, they're going to the implant. Now check all the tubes, fixation pin and osteotomy tube, right? Now in the guide panel, first job is that define path of insertion. Okay, first you select this contact surface first from the soft tissue. Okay, then path of insertion, define path of insertion. How the path of insertions of your patients? This is from the occlusal aspect. So set the screen of the 3D. Your 3D screen should not be like this. From the buccal aspect, from the edentulous or majority of the cases should be like you're from the occlusal aspect, right? Now, this is your path of insertion. Just think about in the chair, how the patient's head positions will be in the chair while you stabilize the surgical guide. Okay. Or how your hand positions will be there while stabilizing the guide. So that path of insertions, consider the undercut, right? So right hand side in the guide panel, what you do, first select the maxilla, then select the contact surface from there, then define the path of insertion, click on it, make sure your screen is set, and then click on the define insertion direction from view. That means whatever the view you set in the screen, software will take care of the view. See, these are the undercuts. If you don't define the path of insertion, your surgical guide will be inappropriate or inaccurate in this side. So this side will give you the struggle in stabilizing the guide. Now software, after clicking the define path of insertion, you see the arrow path of insertion is locked. It will not move. Okay. Now once it is done, you just click on the draw curve now. Surgical guide, draw curve. Now what is the hotkey? Shift. We using the shift key. The surgical guide will be created. Don't create the surgical guide through this base. Okay. It should be in the soft tissue. Control and right click. You can remove this dot. Okay. Once it is done, you just need to click on the create surgical guide. So entire process will be done now with the data loading, treatment planning, and the surgical guide design. Instead of this, you can select the bone model, you can check all the tube, and you can click on the create the bone supported surgical guide. Okay, so it will be teeth supported surgical guide or bone supported surgical guide or tissue supported surgical guide. For the edentulous case, sometime you are creating pin guide first and then only your no osteotomy surgical guide. And if it is the bone reductions, of course, you need the advanced informations. We are not only using one application, there will be two applications will be involved. Did I go fast? How's you all? Little bit of information did you able to catch in this session? Ayushi sir, can we increase the offset? Yes, of course. All the time we can increase the offset. Uh, when the guide tube touching the soft tissue rather than raising flap, yes, this is the way only to deal with it. Okay, to increasing the this is the surgical guide, right? So if you realize Ayushi is asking that if tube is contacting the soft tissue, can we raise the offset? Yes. If you raise the offset, you need to understand how much offset you are raising, 1 mm or 2 mm. Same there, you will need to compromise with the 1 or 2 mm longer drill. And same informations you will need to write there in your note that you have increased 1 or 2 mm than actual recommendations, right? To avoid contacting of the metal sleeves with the soft tissue or to avoid flap. Okay, so that means you need to consider with the longer drill. Thank you, Ayushi. I think it is clear. Okay, sir. And anyone there want to ask something? Maybe Dr. Prashant is also there. Parth. And I want to see one or two of your face. Everyone is hiding your camera, not showing face, and I'm all alone in the Zoom session like host, showing my face up there. I want this group as a family. Dr. Bhavin, finally you're there. How's this, sir? You enjoyed the session or you felt sleepy? No, okay. Dr. Parth, you asked so many questions in the group, and you see you're staying silent here. Maybe Dr. Prashant Subarna, sir, anyone, if you want to ask me anything, I'm there to answer you all. Any questions if you need. Same there. This is saved in the report, right? Make sure you understand how to create the report in the software. You just need to click on the PDF and click OK. And in the report only, most crucial thing in the report is this drill depth. Okay. To validate your guided surgery planning, you need to click on the drill depth. You need to understand if your drill depth is exactly equal to your actual drill kit. Okay. So in the entire guided surgery, we say one is the superimposition, stitching. 2 or 3 days back only we had the poor experience with one surgery just because of the superimpositions, because we didn't pay attention on the denture synchronization due to some reason, because it was intraoral scan also was done with the denture, and we left the we didn't catch the that glitch, and the side surgery side the guide was not sitting properly, and immediately once I have the words and I realized that synchronization is off. So please be careful in the synchronization is one thing. Whoever doing the planning, image 3D conversion, or maybe some other associate lab or partner clinic, or you are doing the treatment planning, right? Make sure, Dr. Prashant Subarna, great to hear you every time. So many points to learn from you. Thank you so much, sir. Prashant, sir, thank you. Do practice. We'll share this link, and make sure don't stop practicing. Okay, more you practice, more you can brush up your clean this implant planning, or more information you can develop, so that you can in future share with me as well, right? So that it will help in to with the all the users in our group, right? Really struggle sometime to come online and do conduct the Zoom sessions. Now we are planning to schedule for single implant cases, multiple implant cases, or some complex cases for the implant planning, not about the workflow only, for the complex implant planning. And we are launching something new again to load all this informative data in our dedicated portal somewhere, so that you can get it learning resource, you can experience. So for everyone, one more information is there. We are coming up with the advanced program, expert level program, okay, for smile design, temporary prosthesis design, stackable guide design workflow for 3 day program. Only three workshops we have announced: Mumbai, Bangalore, and one more place, Chennai. Okay. We know everyone struggled to come to Guwahati for the pro course. Here, Dr. Harshil, Dr. Ayushi is there. They are coming to our pro course. And yes, whoever struggling to attend the pro course here, we are realizing to conduct the 3 day expert program, because 5 days is not very possible program for all the people, all the practices to join everyone. So if you want to expand yourself in the guided surgery domain, right, come and join me in upcoming program in different cities for the expert level. Okay, where you can brush up this session also for the full arch planning, and you will learn some different tools also, like smile design program, mesh mixer program, some engineering tools, and the guided surgery software in advanced level. This software in more expert level, we don't call advanced level, because once you learn full arch planning, soft tissue supported guide, and the bone level guide, once you have the strong understanding, right, you can call yourself that advanced level learning, right? Now when it comes to the immediate extraction, bone reductions, or the temporary prosthesis delivery, soft tissue achievement, or sometime bone scalloping or tissue scalloping, okay, uh, pick up of the temporary cylinders, or the whatever the situation you face in the full arch, sometimes multi-unit abutment, torque, okay, implant timing, all this information comes in the expert knowledge, right? And for that reason only, we are conducting this kind of program. And this will be the final program in entire Pan India. These three programs will be there. So I want everyone show your participations, interest with our team, right? Whoever going to, whoever interested to join the program, we have the registration going on, and just show your interest and encourage me also to come this kind of program once again, because without your words I will not feel like you are appreciating my session. So that I'll feel encouraging to come online again. Everyone, share your feedback. We are in the group. Okay, I'll keep coming. Dr. Nikita is there. It was very helpful, sir. Thank you, Dr. Nikita. Thank you so much. And I need this encouraging word. So coming online for treatment planning brush up, Dr. Santosh, it was wonderful for listening to you as always. Very helpful, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, this kind of encouraging word I need so that I can conduct this kind of program again and again with different planning sessions, complex uh, planning with you all. And I want to feel this group as a family. Right, I want to feel comfortable more in this group. Okay, so that I can come online and conduct the sessions without any having any hesitations from anywhere. Sometimes I'll conduct the program from my home, not from my office. Okay, so I should not wear this kind of formal wears, and I can wear some polo t-shirts and come showing my face there in the screen. I can come online with you to teach you all. It's a long journey with you all, right? So it's not a short journey. So I'll lot of anatomies are there, will be waiting for us, and all the time surprises. Okay, I believe we understand, we are getting the feedback from everyone. If anyone have the questions, I'm of course there in the group, and we'll keep coming online for the complex things. And for all your informations, make sure you understand that we are coming with the expert level program. Just connect with our team and show your interest if you want to register there. I am having a good time with you all. Thank you so much. Any changes in the guide planning for ortho cases? Any change in guide planning for ortho cases? What is that ortho cases for guide planning, Abby? Ortho cases, if patient is wearing braces, this is what you are asking. I have a single tooth replacement. Yes. And patient is wearing braces. Okay. Don't worry. You have the path of insertion, define path of insertion option is there. So when you define the path of insertion, if there is any blockage is there, it will take care. At last stage of ortho. Yes. Either way, you remove the braces and you do the intraoral scan and the CBCT scan, or keep the braces there only, do the intraoral scan, and plan the surgical guide without engaging your draw curve to the braces region. You have my answer? Is this clear? Yes. Anyone want to ask anything in from these sessions, or any doubt, or I want to understand if you have started this software and which is the most difficult part in the software to or the entire journey of the guided surgery, right from data loading to guided surgical guide design. What is the most difficult part you experience in the software? May I know one or two comment? Okay, no one. Fine. Offset setting, that's okay, it's a communications offset. Ayushi, if you feel offset is the most difficult part, yes, very true. We also struggle with the offset, right? It's all about fetching the informations from the company or having your informations. Always be careful. If something goes wrong with the offset, make sure you understand the drill depth. Okay, so we can immediately switch the decision in the chair side also with the drill depth understanding. And we'll take care of the offset setting also in future. We'll just keep discussing on the offset. Superimposition verifications. For superimposition verification, you need to have the clear understanding about the landmark in the CBCT that we call air gap and MPR window, hint. One thing is understanding. I know you are asking superimposition verification. That means manual adjustment. If just in case you fail with the superimposition, how to deal with it, right? Manual adjustment, don't try. For to avoid any kind of glitches in the superimposition, simply follow with the precise workflow: CBCT scan and the intraoral scan, right time impression scan with the markers for the right patients, and the denture with the too many markers in the denture, like this scan. Okay. Nitin, Dr. Nitin, hi sir, I use Ostem One Guide. Is it possible to add a Batman library in the software? Ostem will need to add the library using with Blue Sky Plan. They will need to connect with Blue Sky Plan team, and they will need to share the all the informations with us. Okay, then only it is possible to load. From our side, we cannot do that. Ostem drill kit is there. Ostem only apartment informations are not there, I believe. Yes. I believe you have my answer, Dr. Nitin. Anyone want to ask anything? We are very close to the sessions, end of this session. Okay. Just if you want to ask anything, we are there in the group. Of course, you can ask me. I'll answer there also. I believe my team will share the recorded session also with you all, so that you can have the revise this session once again for the planning, and or any kind of questions you can just simply ask there in the group. We'll be there. Okay. Thank you everyone for your time. I hope you enjoyed all, and we'll be in touch. Okay, I believe everyone has the answer. Okay, we'll be there, we'll be in touch in the group. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, sir.